All right, we are kicking off Unit 2. If we have a look at the overview for this, we are looking at compliance. So a business has to ensure that it complies with all aspects of Australia's legal system. So it has laws about fair business practices, workers' rights, consumers' rights, a business's rights. It also has to make sure that it complies with financial requirements, accurate record keeping, a whole bunch of stuff. So we are going to go through some of this. We kick off with 4.2. So key legal requirements, including registration, taxation, and government regulations. So going back to the study design. So the study design is what underpins this whole course. And the key knowledge that you need to have. So, an overview of key legal requirements for establishing a business, such as registering a business name, registering a website domain, trade practices legislation, business tax compliance, and work safe insurance. So we are going to tick these things off. So legal and government regulations. So there's a whole bunch of different licenses, permits, approvals that you have to take into account as a business owner. So you have a legal obligation to observe the statutory regulations when you commence and operate a business. So you have to fulfill all legal obligations, and it can be really frustrating, especially when more than one layer of government is involved. So you might have your local government laws, which might relate to one part of your business, and then you might also be required to meet federal laws, and navigating those can be quite difficult and time consuming. But if you operate your business and you do not obey the law, you can risk a whole bunch of things, including losing customers, your reputation. You could be fined. You could actually be forced to cease trading. So it's really important that whilst they may provide some challenges, they are important to be observed and upheld. You can actually, so businesses can evaluate their performance according to the extent to which they have observed laws and regulations. Observing the law and indeed exceeding legal expectations can lead to a business outperforming competitors. So it can actually be in your favor, to do the best possible in terms of legal expectations. So, business name registration. So, ASIC, Australian Securities and Investments Commission, is responsible for a national business name registration service. So, you need to register your business name, except when the name is that of the owner, and then it is optional. Okay. If something is added to a personal name like proprietary limited or motors or associates or co, then you have to register it. So if it is simply your name, then you are not required to register it. But if you add something to it, then you are required to register it. This is to prohibit anyone else from trading under a similar name, and it protects consumers so they can actually identify you and your business. You have to have an ABN, so an Australian business number, or an ABN application reference number to apply for a business name. So before you register for a business name, you have to actually search on the ASIC website to check whether the name is already taken. So we will jump in and have a look at that and do that. Registration of a business name does not protect or establish any specific rights to that name. So if a business name is a crucial part to the business's operation, it should be registered as a trademark with the federal agency responsible for intellectual property. And we've got a bit of legislation here. The owner of a company can register the business's name, although a company name is not compulsory. A company can be known by its ACN, so your Australian company number, and it's a unique number that ASIC issues to every registered company. The public has to be able to tell if a registered company is a public or private company. A private limited company must include the words proprietary or and limited, so PTY Ltd, or abbreviation of these words at the end of its name. The name of a company can be registered when the owner goes through the process of registering his or her company. All right. So, just a little did you know? A sole trader business must be registered in term if the name is different from that of the owner. So, if Paul Jones, for example, has a lawn mowing service, but it's under the name of P. Jones or Paul Jones, the name of his business doesn't need to be registered because it is his name. However, if he calls it Paul's Lawn and Garden Service, he does have to register it because he's added something to his name, as it's said up above. So, registering a domain name. So, a domain name is that web address that you would use to type in to find something. It's not the words that you put into a Google search, it is actually the www dot part that is the domain name. So, again, as we become more globalized, we rely on the internet and having a web presence. A key element of that, as it says here, is your domain name, which is the address of your website on the internet. It has to be unique and represent your activities. So you need to connect your domain name to what you're actually operating as. It needs to be easy to remember and easy to spell so that they can find you on the web. You can actually register multiple domains so that you can be found more easily. So you can actually take ownership of the .com, the .com.au, the .net. You can actually own all of those so that they can't be taken by other people. You can also use them to redirect people so that if people type the wrong web address, it will actually redirect them to your proper website. It also means that other businesses, can't operate with a very similar domain name and get confused or pull traffic from your website. A business can see whether a domain name has already been registered by checking the registry online. They're registered through resellers and registrars by going to this website. Building and hosting a website can cost thousands of dollars, but actually buying the domain doesn't cost a lot, depending on what you're getting.